So a lot of times we could read a whole bunch of self-help books and we're like, yeah, I get it. Like this makes so much sense. And then you find you just don't do those things. You just keep overeating, or you keep like not working out, or whatever the case is, right?
Yep.
That's because we function, like most of our decision making comes from our subconscious mind. So I guess this is what I'm kind of gonna show you what's called the theory of mind,
Yep.
essentially. So imagine this is your mind, right? So when we're born with what's called the primitive mind. So everyone has two automatic reactions to stimuli. So that's either fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see a saber-toothed lion and you go into flight, into action, right? So this is anxiety inducing. Another one is flight. Let's say you get so overwhelmed by stimuli, you just freeze essentially, and that's what depression is, you just kind of freeze. Now, let's say from
Oh,
0 to 8,
flight is freezing. I thought flight was like running away.
flight, like, no, it's fight. Or
Fight.
yeah, run away or freeze essentially.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
fight or flight. So run away, like kind of like stop. If that makes
Mm.
any sense.
Yeah.
You can use
Mm-hmm.
flight as well as freeze.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
from 0 to 8, you create what are called known associations. So let's say someone has a really positive experience with a dog when they're young. When you see dogs, you have a good experience. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say you have a really good experience with hugs and kisses from your parents. You really like chocolate, all these sorts of things. But then you create negative associations.
You
Let's say you hate
sushi.
kale. You
Oh,
don't
I
like
hate kale.
sushi. You
She
don't like
knows.
kale. You don't like any of these sorts of things. You create all these negative associations. So from like around 9, we create what's called our critical mind. So this acts as a filter from our conscious mind. So from our conscious mind, we have logic, reasoning, willpower, analysis, this sort of thing, right? So this is essentially, we have about 12% of our brain power is from our conscious mind. So it's our everyday awake thinking
12%
mind.
only.
Yeah. So the rest of it is our unconscious,
Holy
subconscious kind
crap.
of
12% only is conscious.
right. So we have a motivation in our conscious mind to stop something or create something, but we have the motivation from our subconscious mind to create the same patterns and known beliefs that we already know. So let's say you want to create a new belief, right? Like, okay, well, I want to quit smoking. But you have all of these positive associations with smoking. It helps you reduce stress, it helps you relieve all of these sorts of things. And if
Mm.
your critical mind it basically acts as a bouncer, if you will, essentially, kind of it'll, if it doesn't match this, it'll kick it right out. So you can read as many books as you want, but if you don't get your unconscious, your subconscious on board, this is when you create real change. And so the idea is, with hypnosis, we get you into that very calm and very relaxed state. And people are very, we use the word suggestible. We're more suggestible to our own language, essentially. So we ask you, what is it that you want to achieve? How does that look like? And we basically, in a very creative way, tell that to your subconscious when you're in this very suggestible state, and that is where real change happens.
So wait, go back to that drawing for a second. So
Yeah.
so you're saying that
You like my artistry here?
I like that
very
you're ready
artistic.
with like
no, get
props.
bored. I'm very impressed. First of all, I mean, to be honest, this is the first time someone actually elaborate this kind of detail visually, because I'm a visual
Mhm.
learner. So that this just clicks to me. So now, so the subconscious mind behind aspect of that. So how do you penetrate? Like, how do you get through that? Like, let's say that
If
you
it
don't.
keeps bouncing off,
Yeah, it keeps yeah.
how do you make
Good
any
question.
change? How do people who, like, some people
like-
actually like get through and change
Like,
their
think about this.
habits?
Kobe Bryant, right? He's the best basketball player. Like, he was able to push that through his mind. Like how do you?
Yeah.
Because you have this motivation, right? But how do you do that yourself without any, I guess, help?
So one of the ways is to do it is through hypnosis. So
Yep.
hypnosis bypasses this critical mind and it creates new known associations.
Okay.
So something that's very interesting about the mind, it doesn't know the difference between like reality and fiction, essentially. So if you keep creating positive known like visualization, that's why you hear visualization is so important.
Yeah.
If you keep visualizing in this state what it's going to feel like, and you attach a feeling to that, what that is, you're creating more known associations for your subconscious. So essentially when you
Oh.
build that up, then you are literally, there's something called the reticular activating system in your mind. Essentially what it functions as is like a filtering system. So if you are literally looking for the positive, that is what you're going to find.
Is that the word
Mm.
manifest? Because you can manifest your goal in a sense.
Yeah, so manifesting, I use manifesting for myself and that, but the thing is, I don't want to alienate anyone who doesn't believe in that sort of language.
Yeah.
So I think language is very important.
Yeah.
It is a very real thing that happens. Is that when you whatever your focus on, your attention is, that's where it goes. And I guess I'll give people an example of what hypnosis is.
Yeah.
Essentially, what that feeling is like, so everyone can relate to it. So essentially, right when we wake up, we're not unconscious asleep and we're not fully awake and alert. This is a very creative time where you can create changes or put things into your subconscious. So you just like that twilight kind of zone, or right before you fall asleep, you go through this. And so there are different brain waves lengths that kind of essentially happen right before you fall
Oh,
asleep.
so it's kind of like you walk into that gateway. That's what it is.
Yeah. Another form of environmental hypnosis is like, let's say you watch a movie and you leave the theater and you're still in a story of the characters. You're in a form of environmental hypnosis. Also, let's say if you're on a highway and you get off at an exit, usually you go to the same path, but let's say you're just like your mind is somewhere else and
Miss
you
exit.
drive past it, you miss it.
Yeah.
You're in environmental hypnosis.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I mean, this happens to me also when I try to go somewhere else, but then I used to just take the same exit, and I'm like, why am I taking this route? I'm supposed to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
that subconscious mind took over because I was going somewhere else. So the habit, I guess, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's, so like I guess
So-
going back to you, actually, Robert, sorry. So
Yeah,
going back to
so-
you were saying, right? One of the ways I'm just curious because this is to me is fascinating. So in a sense that, so like how would someone who doesn't know hypnosis, like for example, self-motivate themselves to pass through that sometimes? Because obviously you see people achieving that without hypnosis.
Mhm.
I'm just curious. Like,
These people probably either meditate or they pray or they have some sort of visualization that they do or they journal or they do something, you know, they also say like even for artists, they say right when you wake up or right before you fall asleep, this is like the most creative time to do something.
Yeah.
I feel that the people who are successful have some form of habit where they do this, where they visualize, where they journal, where they make, they write down their goals and they keep repetitively experiencing it in their mind. Hypnotherapy is essentially kind of like jump starts this process.
gotcha.
And what's cool about it is you don't have to keep going to that hypnotherapist. We create recordings for you. So before you go to sleep, you can listen to the recording. And the repetition of this is actually very powerful.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you're saying like for us to break a habit or do something like break out of our subconscious, we need to constantly create like either positive or negative associations to things that we already have associations with, right? So
Yeah.
say we're like we have positive associations to smoking, we need to start making negative associations towards them. Is there like a point, like is it like where say we have a million positive associations, we need to create a million and one negative ones to
Oh, like 1-to-1 ratio
counteract.
type of deal.
Yeah.
This is a great question. So the idea with hypnotherapy, which I really resonate with, is the idea where, so with traditional therapy, you kind of create, you look for the cause of the issue, you talk about the issue, you're always like everything's around the issue. With hypnotherapy, you essentially have 10 to 15 minutes to discuss what's going on, and the rest of it is like you're switching into a positive focusing. So with smoking, there's something called aversion therapy. So that's kind of it's not used super often, but that's if like you can equate smoking with something negative and then you're averse to it, essentially. But Instead, what we do with something with smoking, you create more positive experiences of what it looks like to be smoking free. You know, you won't smell. People will want to be around you. You find that you create positive things essentially. The behavior changes because you're motivated by the carrot, not the stick. You're
Right.
not motivated by the fear. You're motivated about what it is that you want and you're experiencing. Does
Yeah.
that
So
make
does it? Do
sense?
you need? Do you need more positive associations to not do like on one's like? Is it like like a balance where you need more
Yeah,
positive
you
associations
do.
the other way to make that adjustment?
Yeah, that's why with repetition and the thing is, you do need more positive experiences with something. But the thing is, it's not really relative to time. So some people could just go to a hypnotherapist office and they have one hypnotherapy session and they're good and they feel great. And
Really?
they like their issue is pretty much resolved and they don't feel like they need to go back. It depends on what the issue is. And it's like the thing is, it's about really connecting to whatever the positive experience that you want.